Today we're going to talk about one of the most asked questions that I get, and that are, what are the expenses to buying a home? Some of these things you don't know as you go through the transaction. Most people kind of find out as they go along. I'm here to help you with that and give it to you all up front so that you know going in what you should expect. The first expense we're going to discuss is going to be earnest deposit. Earnest deposit is basically a good faith deposit, typically required within 24 to 48 hours of contract acceptance, and is normally about 1% of the purchase price. So if you're buying a home for $200,000, typically this deposit is going to be about $2,000. And where it goes is to a title company, escrow company that is going to be holding the funds. This will go towards your down payment. So for example, if you had a $200,000 purchase, you're putting 10% down. Your earnest deposit is going to be about 1%, so $2,000. So the remaining down payment would be $18,000 on that example. And this is going to be due, like I said, within 24 or 48 hours of contract acceptance. It's a good faith estimate to show that you're serious in order to move forward in purchasing the property. The second expense that we're going to discuss is going to be inspections. When you get a home under contract, the inspections are going to range from having a home inspection, air conditioning inspection. You want to get the sewer lines checked out. If there's a lot of big trees, things like that, you want to make sure that they're not growing in. I've heard horror stories into the plumbing lines. So these are some of the big inspections that are going to take place. And then there's going to be more things that come along in a property, but those are going to be kind of like your typical inspections. These are costs that are due to the inspectors at the time of their inspection, and is non-refundable, where your earnest deposit is refundable within the inspection period of your contract in purchasing the property. Your third expense in buying a home is going to be your appraisal. The appraisal is what is ordered from the bank in order to value the property so that they know that they're not going to be lending on a property that's not worth the value. So example, if you're buying that $200,000 house, the bank wants to know that the home's worth at least $200,000 or more, because anything less than that is going to be adjusted on the purchase price. So say the home comes in at $190,000, then you as the buyer either have to get the seller to come down from $200,000 to $190,000, or you have to get pay the difference, or somewhere meet in the middle. But essentially the bank's only going to loan on that $190,000. So you have to pay the appraiser, which is ordered by the lender, to do this appraisal. And these are required on any financed property. If you're paying in cash, this is essentially if you would like to. Typically it's a good idea because you want to make sure that you're getting a good value, but appraisals are not required on cash transactions. Number 4, as far as the expense on buying a home, is going to be your closing costs. Closing costs are going to range from your title escrow fees, lender fees, HOA fees, prepaids, impounds for HOA, interest, things like that on your mortgage. So these are going to be expenses that are not included in your down payment, and then are also going to be due at closing. They're not due anywhere prior to that. It's all going to be due at your closing, hence closing costs. However, these are expenses that most people don't know when they get to the table. They think that all they have to do is their down payment. So this is one of the big things that people don't know about when purchasing a home. And these can be a few $1,000s. Like I said, there's no fixed cost to it. It's going to be all different for everyone. Like I said, depending on if you're buying a home, you're buying points to get a lower rate. These are going to be due at that time, but also your lender fees and all these other expenses that I said earlier. But these can be a lot of money, and they could also be offset by negotiations in the purchase of the property. A lot of the times I get my clients where either closing costs are covered or drastically reduced in some of the negotiations that I get done. So these expenses are something that you should consider. And if you have further questions, please feel free to message me directly, and I can help you along in that question and answer anything I can for you. The fifth expense in buying a home is going to be the one that everyone knows well, and that's going to be your down payment. Your down payment is going to be the remainder of what's from the earnest deposit of what your down payment is. So this is going to be what you discuss with your lender. So if you're going FHA, doing 3.5%. If you're going conventional, you can do 5, 10, 20%. If you're a VA, obviously there's 0%. So if you're doing a VA, sometimes your earnest deposit could either be refunded back to you or the closing costs, or they'll be used towards closing costs. So down payment is different for every scenario. However, typically the down payment is something that people need to come to the table with in order to close a home. And this is going to range for everyone. But this isn't due until the day of closing, or typically the day before closing, when you go to the title company and you sign the paperwork and you have to provide this down payment. More than likely in cashier's check or money orders, things like that. It's got to be certified funds. You can do a wire as well. But I just wanted to go over the 5 expenses in order to purchase a home. If you have any further questions, or if you need explanation in more detail, please feel free to message me directly and I'd be more than happy to answer that for you. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.